Hello, hello. Guys, welcome to another episode of Theoretically Speaking podcast. This is episode 10. Like I said last night, I have George Mata with us today, our special guest. He has I don't know, is it a non-profit or a for-profit, George? A for-profit? He has a for-profit organization working with kids in what age ranges? Or tell him a little bit about your organization.
Team Zap is a nonprofit, but I do training on the side. Team Zap is a nonprofit organization for letting kids play 7-on-7 outside of.
Yeah.
We get to go compete against top talent around the Texas, and then we're able to visit college coaches, college athletes, and just see that type of world of what it took to be there. And it gives these guys an insight of what it takes to be there, what needs to be done, stuff like that. Um, and just giving them a view of outside the valley, man. Just we're so stuck in a bubble here. We allow these athletes to see everything. I know there's college camps. There's a ton of things these kids can go do, but financially they can't always go. So we try to help out and fundraise, and they can pay their club fees. That go towards the team. We let it happen and take these kids out there and just let them see what they got and see the world, man.
Yeah.
So it's a different environment, but it's something that these kids have enjoyed, and a lot of kids have come out of their like out of teams at with a different mentality. Like, hey, I want to go play college ball,
Yeah.
and that's what the whole point is. Is like if you join my organization, is because you do want to take those steps to go play college ball.
Yeah.
And so if you come in here and you come in with I just want to play, we're gonna see it, and that's where we start saying, okay, do you want it, or do you just want to come have fun?
Yeah.
And it's like there's two different levels, and the valley is a lot about having fun.
Yeah.
Just let me go out there and compete and have fun,
Yeah.
but then they forget all the little steps that they need for college recruiting, college coaches, stuff like that. So
Hey, John, I kind of hear like an echo, bro. You hear an echo in your headphones?
not really.
No?
Nah, I don't think so.
It's only mine. I gotta take this off. Take my headphones off. Is that cool, John?
Oh,
Um, yeah, bro. You know what? I think you mentioned something that's really important there because I remember me as a kid. I really, well, I mean, just naturally as a young person, you obviously you don't have experience,
yeah,
you don't have wisdom, and for me, I didn't have no fundamental understanding or framework of understanding by which I could understand what the purpose is for any particular sport besides having fun,
yeah,
you know? And of course, that's a goal. So I remember, and the only parent I had was my dad, and my dad just wasn't one of those kind of like push you
yeah,
and like, and all that stuff. So he
yeah,
wasn't that type. So I mean, I remember it at being practice, and I would just goof off. And the times where I wouldn't goof off is really the sports that I excelled at the most, which is baseball. That's what I was best at.
yeah,
But when it came to football, I didn't understand. But I mean, if somebody would have explained to me, hey, if they would have made the connection within my head to between the work ethic and the training and fun and tied it all together, like, hey, the way that you can have the most fun is obviously if you get better and you become excellent in this sport, and it equals to more playing time and you become a star player, like, because when you start experiencing a level of play at a greater level,
yeah.
then bro, it becomes super exciting,
Yeah.
man, super interesting.
I always say this like every year we do terrible up north. First tournaments that we go to because they are mind blown of the size of these kids that are the same age as them, and then of course color. They see all types, white, black, they see all types of colors. So it's not very common down here that you see a black guy, white boy, and it's mind blowing once they get there, and then they realize how fast, big, and how well they move. It's just like they realize that, man, we're really not the top dogs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, in Texas, and that's what I love the most is where our first tournament, these kids' eyes just opened up, like they realize, like, oh man, this is what is outside the valley.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of athletes who are like, oh yeah, I'm the best in my school, so they assume they're the best in Texas.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, sir, you are average in Texas.
Yeah.
And you cannot see that because you're stuck in that bubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when we go to these college visits, these college coaches are just so upfront. Like they don't care about your feelings. They don't care about anything.
Yeah.
If you want to get recruited, you have to fit their agenda. You got to fit their sizing of your genetically size, height, weight. You know all the essentials you need for sports. So um, we definitely give them that look, but it's they decide at the end of the day if they want to pursue going to college or they want to just be a hometown hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy because like when I was young, I didn't have the work ethic that I had going after college because I was just naturally gifted.
Yeah.
Like I didn't work. I'm honestly just set to say I didn't work hard, and I regret it every day of my life because it wasn't until I was around guys that were trying to go back to the NFL or were trying to make the NFL, I realized like how much work needs to be put in. And so once I started, when I played arena, and I was with these guys like that were working out at 6 a.m. every day.
You say you played arena. What was it? Arena football? Is that
Arena
like a semi
football.
pro or what is that?
No, so it's professional, but it's just not at a high level,
Yeah.
right? The pay's not there, it's as high as an NFL, CFL, Arena One. There's different stages of arena, and I played at one of the lower levels, which is the RGV Soul that we're here. I played
Yeah.
with them 2 years. I got my experience there with both my coaches, and I got to just feel the atmosphere of outside the valley athletes
Hmm.
because there was guys from California, New York, Florida, and it was just eye opener for me. Like how realizing like these guys are athletic, man, and they're
Yeah.
6'4", 6'2". Like these guys are huge. I'm over here 5'9". I ran probably the slowest 40 time 4.6 out of everybody. So it's like,
But down here, you were
yeah,
just super
yeah, yeah,
fast.
yeah. I mean, people think I'm fast now. I'm 32 years old, and they see me and they're like, "Man, you fast?" No, I'm not. Like, I know there's plenty of guys out there that can still catch me. I just know the game too well. You know what I mean? Like, I studied the game. I've been around coaches that know the game, and I still continue learning right now. And I think that's where my knowledge is growing because I continue talking to coaches and continue talking to guys that made it to the next level, and coaches that are coaching 7-on-7 and coaching college. Like I open up and I talk to them and I let them know like what are things you did or what are things that these kids need to do now. And I think that's where I'm so I would say blunt and forward to these kids that sometimes these kids just kind of like, nah, I don't want to do it because it's just a lot of work. And it's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to decide? You want to go play college ball because these are the things that need to be done.
Hmm.
Not I want to or maybe I'll get it done later. I need to get these things done. You don't get these things done, there's no way you can get looked at. And that's where we're at in the valley is the support of parents is not there. They don't know, so they're not uh, worrying about things that they don't know. I mean, if you don't know about something, you're not going to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just the simple fact of they're not educated on that part. And so I think in the world where we've talked about if parents are educated in the whole platform of what it takes to go to college, I think there'll be more parents involved because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of parents' help. You know what I mean? Myself or any of the high school coaches don't have all the time in day for to give specific time towards the kid. He's got to do it on his own, and that's
Yeah.
part of growing up. You know
Heck
what I
yeah.
mean? So we just push him in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know?
You're touching on so many points, man, and like so many questions are coming up in
Yeah.
my head all at one time. But just to bring it to like a nutshell and then kind of work out from there, and also to give my audience, one main question that I have in my head, and I think for parents and mostly parents, predominantly parents, right? But for teachers and coaches out there that may listening, the major thing that I'm thinking in my head, just in a general sense is, I'm a parent, right? I have 3 kids, and I've had this conversation briefly with my father-in-law.
Okay.
He said something to the effect of just in just a real blunt type of way. He goes, "Man, us Mexican, we can't go and compete with black and white kids up north and all of this stuff. We're just like you said, we're a little bit smaller, and all of that stuff." And I remember one particular occasion, man. I don't know if you remember when La Jolla, the high school. This was probably back in must have been 2002, 2001 or something.
Okay.
It was way back when, bro.
Okay.
But I remember they had a star quarterback, man. And I remember they were just killing Valley teams, bro. This quarterback was super good. So for one, they had a good run, they had a good throw, and they'd spread up the defense and they'd pick them apart a little bit. And worst case scenario, if they didn't, once they spread them out, man, that quarterback would run it, and bro, they would killing them from every angle. And then I remember they went to the playoffs and they played Converse Judson, bro. And this defensive line, bro, was bro. They would call a play, and like three defensive linemen would immediately break through the line, and you just see three guys going for this quarterback at one time. Like, bro, it's like they were crushing them, and I'm like, wow, man, these guys are just playing at another level. But yeah, back to that initial general question that I was thinking. How can we as parents, teachers, coaches put our child or put these kids in the best position for success athletically, right? And when I say success, it's not just one particular goal, right? It's not just so they can excel in sports. It's either so they can excel in sports, or so that they can get in the best position to get a scholarship, an athletic scholarship, and so that they can hopefully try stay healthy as long as possible, right?
Right.
Right, because one may be conflicting in there. You may have a super athletic kid, let's say, that really excels down here in football, for example, but maybe he's 5'7" and 145 pounds, and hey man, if this guy goes to the next level in football, there's a great chance he could get hurt, or he's, so I think considering all of those things, that's a question, that I want to ask you. Um, but then, where do you think we should start, like on one particular point in that stuff? Because you have a super interesting story yourself.
Yeah.
You were athletically gifted, then you went to play at the next level, and you competed with these guys, and you saw how much work ethic it takes to get there and
Yeah.
stuff. So now you have a way different perspective than what
Yes.
most people look at. You have more like a greater vantage point at which you can look at the athletics down here in the
Yeah.
valley. So where would you start in reference to that general question?
And I think I can start with the youth because I say that because I say athletically gifted, right? But realistically, it was what I did as a young kid, what made me ready to play football with the time I flew up or whatever, right? Um, so when I was young, my parents put me in everything: football, basketball, track, anything. I didn't play any soccer. I regret it now because now with the information I know, soccer is a great development sport. If you don't want to take that as your main sport, but it's good to play. But I think when I was young, my parents had me in everything, football, basketball, track, and baseball. I did all those sports yearly. So it was never a point where I was just kind of just at home. And I think as I grew up and I started growing, my body was able to develop with it well because I was just giving it different planes of motion.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happens in sports is that our kids are just generally staying in one sport, and
Sorry,
they think
can you pick up number 4 all the way?
um, we are trying to figure out, if do we think that playing sports, one sport year round, is going to help a kid? And don't get me wrong, he's probably going to know the game faster than everyone else, but in the long term of health, it's not going to benefit him. You got to put your body in different various motions to be able to develop and maximize the human performance. And so when that happens, I think when I blew up my junior year, I'd realize back then is like my parents put me in so many sports. I feel that's why I was so ready to play football the time I went in. I
Yeah.
was a backup going into my high school career. I played middle school. I played freshman ball. I played JV, and then my junior year I played varsity, and I was a backup for 5 games, but I had 2 touchdowns per game. So I was a backup, even having 2 touchdowns a game going for the first 5 games, and then they said, what, this guy's scoring 2 touchdowns a game. I think he needs to be in the starting point. And I realized, and I talked to my parents about it, time like saying, I appreciate them, putting me in everything I've done because I never focused on football. I just loved it so much, so I was always down to play it, but I just didn't focus on it year round.
Yeah.
And I think all the other sports prepared me to be athletically ready when my time was called. you know. And I could never go wrong with that. I tell parents now, year round football, tackle football is not the answer. You know, year round basketball is not the answer. And
And why is that? I'm assuming for football, it's pretty obvious that they could get hurt.
yeah, contact wise, now other non contact sports, you still put a lot of stress on your body. You play basketball over and over and over again. You're doing the same motions. You're gonna end up overusing those certain type of muscles. Depending on the sport, right? And so when you do that over and over again, you don't let those muscles relax, right? You don't let those come to a time for recovery phase. So your body ends up it's wear and tear, man. If you keep the same tires on your car, eventually what? They're gonna
Yeah,
peel out and blow up, whatever. And the body works the same way, you know. And so you want to be able to change your tires by playing different sports, different motions, and letting your body develop in all types of range. And I think that's where I feel one we're pushing away from that. I tell when I talk to coaches, when I talk to parents, I give them my opinion because this is at the end of the day opinion for you guys. And there's a lot of facts out there that show numbers, but even that doesn't even educate parents to say, okay, let me just put my son in fall football and then let him play all these other sports. You can still have your training once, twice a week for that specific sport to make sure you're staying in tune and you're staying, what's the word I'm looking for? You can stay, I guess, biomechanically right
mm,
in that state of sport, right? And um, I think as parents don't know, there's a lot of I say this, it's a lot of parents that coach youth football that say, hey, we're gonna get better by playing football year round.
yeah,
But contact football is not the answer. Basketball, you get better playing basketball. That's the easiest way. Like we talk about it with my foot doctor sports, is the easiest way to get better at playing your sport is playing your sport,
yeah,
right? And that contradicts what actual like science does. That hurts you in the long run. You're not gonna get better playing football, tackle football year round because you're getting better, but your body's taking a hit now.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it goes back to like, okay, your high school, you might be what? Tired of football because you played it so long and your body's now starting to take, hits. I'm seeing middle school kids tear their ACLs. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, what'd you do? Well, I started playing football since I was 4, 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you've worn and torn your whole knee, man, because you're just constantly on it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it stinks that these players have to take such an early injury.
Man, that's a great point, man, because there's you're talking.
There's a lot of points in
It's like you say, like what you don't know, you don't know, and it's hard for a parent to know a lot, right? Let's say, especially as it pertains to the anatomy of the body or sports training or athletic performance and things like that, man. So it's really hard, as a parent or some, you got a 9 to 5, you're working, you're doing best for your kid. It's hard to know how you can really put them in the best position, chance for success in it. And there's a lot of components of a particular sport, and you're talking about football, these high end sports. Well, one of them, as it pertains to football, is that the knees. Knees in the basketball too.
yeah.
There's so much. You're running so fast, and there's abrupt stops and angles that you're hitting and stuff like that. So, I know a lot of people that they mess up their knees and ankles playing basketball too. And one thing that's really not commonly known is, well, one of them, the obvious one is, you could, like you said, is taking time off. What was the word you used for it?
Recovery.
Recovery.
Yeah.
Recovery is super important, and that's one thing. So that's one point. If you guys, anyone listening out right now, jot that one down in your mental memory right there. To keep your child fit is recovery. Let's prioritize recovery.
Yes.
And then another one is, there's certain components of a sport that you don't actually practice in the sport. Like, for example, I'm gonna use baseball because that's the one that I really like the most, and I was the best at. I was the best at baseball. But some things that could have really caused me to excel in baseball is doing other movements that weren't baseball. I could say probably just regular high intensity, like maybe sprints and stuff, would have helped all around. But as it pertains to, let's say, like throwing or getting the ball, and I would say some good rotational
Yeah,
training would have
yeah,
worked really well for
yes,
baseball.
yes,
You know, and now I see how like my son swinging the bat, right? I'm watching kids and stuff, and this pertains more to kids because, like you say, you try something over and over, your form gets a lot better,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
right? But still, I think even though the form may be there, they may be lacking in strength.
yeah,
They may be lacking in quickness, you know?
yeah,
Maybe they could rotate that bat a lot quicker and with a lot more power, for example, if they did some rotational
yeah,
training, you know? And that's one thing where I saw that I lacked, especially when I started doing like mixed martial arts and stuff, because you're getting in positions where you're rotating, or like if you're throwing a punch, you know, sometimes, or at least when you're starting, or if you're just getting back into the groove or whatever, you're throwing punches, you're throwing hooks, and you're like, man, I feel slow, man. I
yeah,
feel like an old man. You know,
yeah,
you're trying to throw something and you feel like your weight just goes in one direction, or you don't have control of your weight and how you rotate and stuff. So that's just an example of that. And I'm sure there's some stuff that probably pertains, you know, that general concept to any sport, whether it be football or basketball or what have you, is that there's probably some things that you can train, um, maybe in some off time,
yeah.
right? Like instead of, like you say, instead of
So you always have your. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you always have your specific group of motions that you want to train specifically for the sport. You know, for instance, something so basic, right? You're a wide receiver, right? I play wide receiver football. What's one thing I could do every day? Catch a football, right?
yeah,
Catch a football.
yeah,
If I can catch a football every day, I'm gonna get better at that, right?
yeah,
And that's something so basic, right? Any parent can be like, yeah, you want to get better at catching a ball. How are you gonna get better at catching a baseball? Pitch and catch all the time. How do you start when you're a kid? Your dad and you play catch, pitch all day, you know. And there's certain now when you start getting into a higher level, you know, middle school, you start bringing in the weight room aspect for strength training, um, and that's where you start figuring out that you know you're gonna lack things, and you'll realize it in your sport. And the hardest thing about um, the valley is that we're not educated on that point where you know there is some things you can do that would benefit your main sport in the off season.
yeah,
Off season is to get stronger, faster, you know, build all the essential needs for a sport, right? Um, Now, during that time, you still have specific movements for your sport that you want to include in your training. You know, it's like a lot of people come to my training, right, and they're like, oh, well, I see videos of shapes and footworks and cones, and then they come to the first 30 minutes and we don't even see any of that because it's like I have a program set for the first 30 minutes and then we get into all the specific movement for football.
mm-hmm.
I develop your body first. We do things to engage speed, power, strength, and then we get into the shapes. Then we get into all the footwork stuff, specific footwork movement, and people don't see that because, of course, the promotion video shows all the fun stuff, right? But you know, if people come to me and they say like, "Oh, I want to just do this," like, no, you got to get your body ready, and then you start adding all the fun stuff afterwards.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I think that's as a baseball player, you know, basketball player, like you could do simple things that's not gonna really put a toll on your body to like still get better, but there is specific things you need to work on to strengthen, you know, that rotation force, your where's the power coming from, your disassociation from your hip to your shoulder, stuff like that for baseball, your swings,
mm-hmm.
um, those type of things, you know, you want to work on. But I think there's like a different approach. Like a lot of people will think like, oh, if I swing this bat 100 times, 200 times, I'm gonna get stronger. And it's like, no, that's not always the case. You're
Mm-hmm.
just that's a repetitive motion, right? You're gonna get down that motion, but it's not getting stronger because you're just doing the same thing. Your energy each time is changing.
Yeah, it's like your body for any particular motion has like a threshold at which it
Yeah,
reaches, and then it
yeah,
just plateaus.
yeah. And once it plateaus, now you have to advance it some way, somehow.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But initially doesn't mean swinging a bat. You know, there's a lot of people that do like they'll swing a bat, and then once they feel like they've reached the plateau, what do they add? A resistant bat.
yeah,
And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. There's other ways to engage that rotational force and rotational slings without actually swinging a bat. And I think
yeah,
that's the training world that a lot of people do not know. You know
yeah,
what I mean? But I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to just being educated. You know, I know, like you had mentioned, parents have 9 to 5 jobs. They get home, they might have to cook, clean, cut the yard, so they don't got time to. They're not gonna think like, oh, what can I do to better my child once they're out for work?
Yeah.
They're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna give them to a professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me give them here. Let me give them to a batting coach, wide receiver coach, trainer, strength trainer. That's what parents do. But if their parents would actually take a little bit of time to be like, let me look and see what some of the top athletes do or have done at his age, like they'll see that most of the time they played a lot of sports.
Yeah.
And then once they get into that range of weight training, they weight train, you know. And I think we're in this world of the valley. I like to say valley because we're in this bubble. I hear this a lot that, what they do at school is enough. And it's like, no, like that's just the bare minimum. And then you have another 50, 60 kids in your class. So how can your coach know that you're doing it correctly?
Yeah.
So that's why you want to educate yourself. Like, why did my son get hurt in the weight room? Well, he probably did something wrong, movement
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
So he's getting hurt in the weight room. I mean, it's hard for a coach. I don't get mad at coaches like, oh, you're not able to watch. No, you have 50, 60 kids. Go out there
Yeah.
with 50, 60 kids and see if you can watch everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, bro, I agree 100%. Like when I look, see, I think I know maybe a little bit more than average. I'd venture to say, and I'm not sure about that average, a little bit more than average about sports performance and sports training because my cousin has a master's of kinesiology and me and him talk a lot. And then I'm a workout enthusiast. I like working out a lot. And this is mostly all like after college years and stuff like that. And then, well, I did a ton of calisthenics training, during my duration when I was incarcerated for that job right there. And my aunt, she bought me a muscle and fitness subscription. So there was so much about nutrition and fitness that I didn't know. Bro, I would never eat when I would work out,
Yeah.
not knowing that I'm just like really much eating away my own like amino acids. Like it's
Yeah.
counterproductive.
Yeah, yeah.
But bro, I basically I experimented with my body, bro, and I mean it took like a year or so, man. But I got to a point where I know that I could do something. I could put in a certain level of energy or input, and I could get some certain results. But um, my whole point of saying that, man, actually, man, I lost my point. What was my point of that? Man, where was I going with that? Bro, I had a super good point. Oh,
Oh,
okay, this was it. This was it.
okay.
When I look back in retrospect to my high school years, right, bro, I was an average athlete. Maybe, oh man, maybe even below. I want to say, and I was an average athlete. I'd say I was maybe, you know, I was. I want to say I was supposed to play varsity. Or the assistant coach for what's it go high school asked me to go try out for varsity my freshman year, and Coach Mireles and stuff, and my cousin was already a pitcher and I played a lot with him and he was a high level, I'd say he was a high level baseball player, Steven Davila and stuff like that. So but thinking about football and stuff, I think about it, I think, man, in high school I was probably right, I'm 6'1" now, I was probably 6 feet, and I was probably, I don't know, 160 pounds. And I think about what I went through in football and stuff, and I really didn't excel in football, and it was like when I started getting older that I really started to like love it more, bro. And I was the position of a receiver. I was just a receiver in football. But I was kind of slow, and then I think they put me like at tight end a little bit, and I really didn't excel at tight end either
Yeah.
because it's kind of like I just didn't have the strength, man. And the guy that I was going against, he would just kind of overpower me when it came to like pushing off the line and stuff like that. And nobody ever took me to this. Like we would go train in the gym, but no one ever had that one-on-one conversation with me. Like if I were to talk to myself, looking back then, I would tell myself like, look, you're 6'1", you have the potential, but you're not there. This is what you need to work on. You're slow off the line. This guy's getting the best of you. It's probably because you're a little bit weak in your legs or whatever. So, I mean, it would have been obvious to anyone looking that I wasn't strong in my squat. But maybe it's a squat. Maybe it's not just a squat. Maybe it's some little bit of explosiveness, like a squat jump. Because when I was doing calisthenics and I didn't have a squat rack, so I would do squat jumps, and I got that from a men's fitness subscription
Yeah.
where this girl did like a world, I don't know, some type of record, like 90 squat jumps in 3 minutes, some crazy thing. And I was like, man, if a girl could do it, I could do it. And I did that, bro. I couldn't walk for like 4 days,
Yeah.
afterwards. But bro, it built like, and then even down to my calves and everything was sore, man. And it's like, bro, I never worked my body like this
Yeah,
before, and that's one thing that's crucial. Like, boom, like launching off of the line, you know. And if somebody could have explained it to me, another thing is like naturally, I don't think like, well, I think a lot of people are naturally, I don't know, but I just feel like naturally I'm below average as far as shoulder strength, like deltoids.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's another thing. You're pushing off the line and you're quickly engaging with
yeah,
this individual in front of you. And nobody like could have told me that. Could have been another thing. Hey man, another thing, bro, you're 6'1". You have long arms, you know what I mean? You
yeah,
could push this guy off of you, but
yeah,
you lack some strength right there in your shoulders, you know what I mean? So, you know, like when I do push-ups, a lot of times like I'll shift more of the pressure on my chest because I'm like
yeah,
strong on my chest,
yeah,
but not so much, you know. So I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can strengthen your shoulders, all types of stuff, you know. But that's what generally what he could have told me, you know.
yeah,
Hey man, let's do some. You should. But like, what do you do? You have he's a coach and he has a ton of kids, and you know you have your wait time and stuff like
yeah,
that. But he could have at least advised me.
yeah. He could have. I mean, and this is where it comes to now. Like, I would not say favoritism, but like they have their players are already kind of ready to mold.
Yeah, they have their core.
So it's like they have their core guys, and then they have everyone that they want to develop. They're gonna worry about their core guys, specifically varsity starters. That's who they're looking for to push and go because that's their next season. You know what I mean? And so they could easily advise everybody, but then that takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
Because if one kid gets advice, there's another kid saying, "Hey, well, where's mine? What do I need?" And then if you're not watching him, you're not gonna have no answer. So it just makes you look bad. So they just kind of just give a general platform of hey, this is what you need to do.
yeah,
A basic understanding of you need to eat right and you need to lift weights and you need to run. Right? They'll tell you those three things all the time, like get faster, get stronger, right? But they don't again break it down and say, well, how can I get stronger in a certain position? You know, the next thing that they do, and you brought up a point where, you know, they put you as tight end, right? But you weigh what, 160 pounds, 160 pounds?
yeah.
And
Back
it's
then,
like,
something like that.
and I think that's the issue the Valley has is that they get guys that should be a different position, right? Like, you should never be a tight end weighing 160. But the fact that you were 6 foot, you were probably, you know, a little bit above average or one of the tallest ones in that specific group, you were you had to play that position. And it's like when I go and I've trained professional athletes and the our D tackle in our most schools are the size and weight of our linebackers in the NFL. So we one set these guys to play at a lower level because you're telling them to do a job that they're initially not genetically able to, right? So you're 6'1" or 6 foot.
But they are within the context of Valley football, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So you're 6 foot, right? And they're like, hey, you're probably one of the tallest receivers or one of the bigger guys there. But tight ends are 6'4", 6'3", and then they have 220, 215 weight on them. You know, even more, you know. And it's like, we're thinking NFL level, but now let's bring it down to the Valley level. You know what I mean? Let's get a guy that weighs 195, 200 pounds. You know, I do this a lot with linebackers. Like, I have a lot of linebackers that come to me and they're like, hey, I want to play linebacker. You're the size of a linebacker. Well, I've been playing DN my whole life. Well, yeah, because you're probably one of the biggest ones. And you're the biggest one in the valley. But then you go up north and you go for that specific position that you played your whole entire career, and you realize they're going to move you linebacker.
Yeah.
So you're not ready for it.
So it's like these coaches are positioning these kids in an area of the game that's most beneficial for the coach and their strategy of football, but for the parent and for the child, that
It
you know
might not.
the parent needs to be conscious of that or
Yeah,
cognitive
yeah.
of that,
But
right?
see, like then it comes down to like, I mean, this can go so many ways, man, and it's bad to say, but coaching is a job. So you know, you cannot go. A coach will not go in there and he's gonna love the kids. He's gonna love everything about his program, right? But at the end of the day, he's got to win football games.
Yeah, that's true. That's
You know what
true,
I mean?
man. Yeah,
So
his job's on the line
his
too.
job's on the line. So when parents come like, you're not doing the best for my child, he's got a family to feed. He's got things that need to be, you know, he's got the bills, he's got house, cars, payment, all that. So he's not trying to lose games. So he's gonna put kids in the best position that's gonna benefit the team.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes a team player, right? That's where you want to be a great team player. But at the end of the day, if we're thinking kids go to college, right? Even a D3 school, right? I've had plenty of kids that transfer from going from a D lineman to a linebacker
Yeah.
because their size is meant to be a linebacker.
Yeah.
But you're one of the biggest ones in your school, so where do you got to go? Hand in the dirt, right?
Yeah. So
Um,
that's where like what you are doing is it can and is really important. Or even if you know for whatever reason I don't know the parent or whatever doesn't have the money or stuff, just that mentality of doing it at home themselves, right? And what I mean is pretty much telling the child like, look, you know you're doing good in this position and your coach wants you in this position at this level, but in the event that we do go to the next level
there's
because
a
of your size and your height and the weight and you know
there's a
everything,
possible change.
yeah,
There's a
you
possible change.
probably are going to
Yeah,
change. So at home, hey, you're going to be working this level, but at home we're going to work this position,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
or you know, God willing, if they could train with an organization like the one you have and stuff, you know, you already being cognitive of that, you would say, hey, look, I know you're this position
Yeah.
in high school, but what would you train them for the position they're most likely to be in at another level, or what?
Um, no, again, we prepare their body first,
It's
right?
just
Get them
preparing,
right,
yeah.
right? But so I don't really work with linemen, right? So like, cause I've never played that position. Like I tell parents that come to me when they're a lineman, I say, look, there's only a couple things I can do for your kid: get them faster and get them quicker, and understand foot placement, right? I never tell them that I can get them better at their specific skill, right? Which how to block stuff like that. Um, but now when it comes to like a D lineman comes to me and I'm like, look, like I cannot, I'm not gonna, I don't have a class specifically for D lineman, but you can come to my linebacker class, learn how to move better, learn how to move and cover that you don't do right now. I said because I tell them, I let them know like, you know, you're the size of a linebacker up north, or at the next level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you do plan to go to college, you want to be able to exploit your body in different ranges of motion.
Yeah.
And I tell them that, and they open up their eyes. And they either decide no, or they go back and let their coach know, and their coach will tell them, no, you're a D lineman. You know, but then 4 years down the road, they go to college, and there they go, switching to the position that, you know, they're genetically ready for, you know, or what they should be doing. And I think that's where we have this like separation with like with me, like some coaches don't like my theory and you know some coaches do, right? But we split there because we want them in a form where they're going to be successful. But then when they get like just we go to the third round, what happens? That that lineman in front of you,
Yeah.
6'5", 320, and you're
Yeah.
over here 5'11", 185 D lineman when you should be playing linebacker or corner, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you have no chance.
Yeah.
And so we need to benefit these kids of knowing, okay, where is this kid gonna excel at? You know,
Yeah.
where is he gonna benefit the most?
And so on that note, you know, the whole conversation that we've talking about, it's we're kind of implying that we're talking predominantly or mostly about football
Yeah,
and maybe baseball and basketball and stuff. But, you know, understanding and taking into consideration, obviously, our area and our demographic and our you know, the predominant ethnicity here, right?
yeah,
Hispanic, Mexican American, and considering that more often than not, you know, we're smaller than, you know, you know, when you go up north and the other individuals that are playing D1. What particular sport do you think would be best, right, because like I was saying earlier, I had this conversation with my father-in-law, and I think he had a great point.
yeah,
He says if it was me, I'd put him in what we're good at is we're good at fighting, we're good at soccer, and we're good at baseball
yeah,
and track and field if,
yeah,
if you have a student that excels in any
yeah,
area of track and field.
yeah. And the reason for that is because our size.
And maybe for females, maybe I'd throw in volleyball and
Yeah, we have a lot of athletes that go volleyball. So again, volleyball is about height.
yeah,
We don't have that a lot down here. Basketball, we don't excel a lot because you got point guards that are 5'10", 5'11", 6'1", you know, in that range. But when you get to that next level, they're in that range of 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and it's like it always comes back to like, you know, the three sports we really dominate in a high level is baseball.
hmm,
We have a lot of D1 baseball athletes because size is not such a huge deal there. It's more being precise in movement, precise in reactivity, hitting the ball, reacting to the ball, making right throws, right? There's no contact, so size really doesn't make a factor. It's not such a huge factor in baseball. Um, and so that's why we have such great success because guys play baseball for so long and they develop correctly and they play really well. So we get a lot of D1 looks at that in the valley. Like
Mm.
I think it's grown so much as far as D1 baseball athletes.
Yeah.
Like since for I think it's been about 6 7 years that we've initially gotten more D1 athletes.
Yeah.
Um, and that's one of the sports that we excel a lot. Now soccer, we win a lot of state titles. Like I know Brownsville has a couple. I think Valley View has some. And but if you look at them, a lot of these kids don't go play college soccer,
Mm.
and I think that's because of education again. The parents don't know exactly what road to take, and
So like what, the academics aren't there, the GPA
academics,
or what?
GPA, or just they don't reach out to schools.
Mm.
You know, a lot of I would say Hispanic mindset because I had that mindset was the coach is gonna find me, right? That's what a lot of people think. I'm a stud here. I'm making so many goals. The coaches are gonna find me.
Yeah, I got about 5 YouTube videos up.
Yeah, nope. It's not working that way. So in the soccer aspect, you know, they have their way of doing it, right? And that's a whole different world. And I'm not fully educated on that, but I know that we have a lot of successful teams down here that go and compete up north, and we make it to finals and we win state. But if you go look at the schools and see how many of those kids play college ball, it's very few. And that goes back to having the back end, talking to coaches, going to certain organizations um, for specifically that teaches you how to be able to get into college. And I don't know if that's because they want to take the road of professional soccer already, like
Hmm.
right off the bat, because I know that's an option, like baseball. You
Yeah.
can get into baseball 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people take that road, but what I've seen is a lot of kids do not take the benefit of possibly having a full scholarship and getting a degree, you know.
Yeah.
And in the soccer sport, like I don't really hear a lot of names in soccer that I think we should have more.
Well, the most males and friends that I know of that went to D1 sports on a scholarship were in wrestling.
Yeah,
And where,
they say
well,
we
I'm from
have.
Wessico. Wessico's a big wrestling
Yeah,
school.
so we actually have like our body type is meant for wrestling. Like that's what the anatomy was saying is that like our bodies are meant for wrestling, so that we should excel. I think I read up that we had 44 guys make it to state,
You're talking about Hispanics?
Hispanics,
Yeah.
for wrestling, which is I think is great. You know what I mean? And it's a great sport for development too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes you move better, different ways, different planes of motion. I have talks with parents. They're like, "Oh, what should my son do in the off season? If he plays a D lineman, linebacker, running back, wrestling."
And the conditioning for wrestling
Yes.
is crazy,
I mean,
man.
I've never been in wrestling, so I don't know that part of that sport. I don't know what it took, what it takes to be in it, because they didn't have it at my school. I'm pretty sure I would have done it, but I know I wrestled like when I was in high school. We had like Friday competition day,
Yeah.
and it was considered wrestling. And I know I was dead tired after one match, and I was like, dude, I don't know, I can only imagine what it's like, in an actual live match with somebody knowing what they're doing. These guys for when we had competition day, it was just go pin them down, like
Yeah.
anyway, anyhow, like it didn't matter.
I mean, there's movements that we consider like conditioning exercises and stuff, like in football, like one of them being like a burpee
Yeah,
where you fall down, you push up and then get up and jump,
yeah,
and that's a movement that they actually execute in wrestling. It's called a sprawl, like when
yeah,
somebody shoots in on your legs and you
yeah,
fall on them, and they do that. They're down and up and they're down and up and they're going onto their knee and then they're shooting in for like a single leg or a
yeah,
double
yeah,
leg. They're doing all these types of movements to take your back, and they're doing all of it in such an explosive way, and explosiveness is a key component to the actual wrestling game. That yeah, man, the conditioning is crazy
yeah,
for wrestlers. And it's another one of those sports, like you said, that size isn't really a factor because you're within your size.
yeah. Your weight.
So based on all those sports, what would you recommend for parents out there if they're to steer their kid in a particular direction? What you would say, soccer, baseball, and wrestling, or what?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's really just multiple sports.
Yeah.
Like at a young age, I think as you get older, you start to pinpoint where you want to go or where you have your chances to go, right? But initially, like if you're looking for your athlete to develop without a trainer, and I tell this to parents, like, you know, you don't need a trainer at such a young age. You're doing it just because you want him to learn the game better, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, they come to me if I have a youth group, you know, so you come to me, is you're gonna get faster, quicker, stronger, and you're gonna learn the game a little bit better. That's what you're coming here for. But I educate these parents, and a lot of parents that have brought that question up to me is, you know, what should I do to get multiple sports? It's the easiest way to develop an athlete, child. Let's say child, and it's you're paying, of course, the fees for whatever to get into those leagues or whatever, right? But you know, it benefits your child to learn different games, right? Different sports, and then it helps them develop different emotions. So the easiest way to develop your child with, I would say, more affordable would just open up your sport ranges. Put them in
Mm.
there, even if they don't want to. Let them try it out. They don't like it, try a different sport. You know, their kids will tell you what they love,
Yeah.
but just because they love it doesn't mean they need to do it your way.
Yeah. And for me as a parent, that's what I want to do. I want them to, in one way, position them where they have the greatest chance of success, but also do something that they really love.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna pick what they're gonna love and where
Yeah.
they want to go. Like,
Yeah.
there's kids out here that love to come to me because the football's involved.
Yeah.
Like, I love coming to you because it's football.
Yeah.
Technically, it's not all football, but yeah, we work a lot of football components. But it's like they come because they just know football's involved.
Mm.
Like, they love it so much, and I'm like, that's a love you're gonna need and want, but will that wear out because you're just doing it so much? You know, like, I mean, we get tired of jobs. Like, I know when I work, I was tired to go to work. Like, I didn't want to go to work after, you know, you get the job, you're like, man, I'm gonna go to work. 3 months down the road, you're like, man,
Yeah.
I ain't
Yeah.
trying to be here no more. You know, so I can only imagine these kids are gonna play for so long, and I say it sucks because it's when they get to high school they realize, like, you know, I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you briefly touched on the fact that when you went to the next level, you saw that these greater guys, I don't know, was it like a different skill level, or was it also a psychology that they were a lot more serious about the game and stuff like that? So, like, if you can tell us what kind of like psychology and mentality either can the parents start trying to help cultivate within the child at a young age, or if he's a teenager listening right now, they themselves could try to start being aware of to prepare themselves for the next level and stuff.
So when I played in high school, right, I was surrounded. My class had four D1 athletes, right? We had four D1 athletes. One a quarterback, linebacker, went to UTEP, and went to Kansas. And then I had a lineman, two linemen that went D1. One went to Louisville, and then the other one went to UTEP as well. And so I guess I'm still not understanding my past of how did I not get with those guys,
Yeah.
like, consistently. You know what I mean? But I was a high school guy, man. I was worrying about different things. Like, I was performing well in the football field in the valley. I was performing well. So my mentality was like, oh, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I never thought next level. You know, it wasn't until my senior year my coach was like, hey, do you want to go play? And I was like, well, yeah. Like, I'll go play. Like, I didn't think of it like, oh, I want to. Like, I'm dying to go. They was like, do you want to go play?
And he was referring to D1, like in the,
No, 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 no.
or what was he?
I wasn't sized for D1.
Yeah.
I'm 5'9".
I mean, just like in college. I
Just in
mean,
college in general, go D3, D2, you know, whatever, right? So I was like, yeah, I'll go play, and he got a D1.
real nonchalant, like it was just a pickup game or something.
I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I'll go. You know, like, so he's like, hey, make me a film, do all that, right? So that was my first step of realizing. So I made a highlight tape, and then I was so dumb because I put a highlight tape with a bunch of bad words. Fucking just cussing left and right, just out of there. And coach was like, I made like 50 of them.
Apparently, you didn't have no PR agent,
I
huh?
was like, coach, here's my thing, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, I'll take a look at it. He gives me all 50. He goes, throw them all away. Like, there's too much bad words. And then he's like, I need a clean music if you're gonna put music. I said, oh man, I just paid, I don't know, a little bit. I know it's a little bit. For me, it was like, man, I paid money to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I went back, cleaned it up. That was my first kind of like wow, like, I can't. You know, I thought it was just like, hey, put music, look cool, you know, show your video, and then coaches are just gonna look at the video. They didn't care about music, but that was my first step of like,
Yeah.
you care, you know. And so Coach Ford, you know, he was my coach in high school, and you know, he was telling me like, yo, I need film. Do you want to go? I need you to do these tests. And I started waking up like, oh crap, I need a lot to do. Like, and I was a senior, so I'm already late. Like, there's this process is supposed to be done when they're like sophomores, freshmen. That's the startup. That's where they start doing all these things. And I was late, so I did everything in about 6 months. And he was like, "Do you want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go. Like, just tell me what are my options, right?" And he's like, "Well, it's gonna most likely be out of state, right?" And I was like, "Well, I'll go. I just want to play. Like, I'll play football." And so that phase happened there. You know, I didn't come to an agreement with any of the colleges that he had told me. I didn't like them. Um, one coach, one what was that? Adversity counselor. Uh, from a school came down and was like just looking for Hispanics to go to their school, not even for football, just go to their school. He goes, "Hey, I want to take you to our school." I was like, "Well, where's your school at?" He goes, "Iowa." And I was like, "He's like, it's free. You stay, you go, just go look at the school." Okay, cool. Took a ride, got packed my suitcase, went with a bunch of Valley athletes. We went to the school, we stayed there a weekend, and then came back. It was so mind blowing how like the culture was everywhere else. Like I've never been outside the valley, so
Yeah.
I was just like besides San Antonio and Houston, but I mean you really don't get to explore when you go for family or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So when I went, I was able to see like athletes, college athletes, and see what they were doing, and just it was one that was the first thing that was like, man, there's different people outside. You know, I always just thought there was Hispanics all the time, and it's like no, like there's you know a bunch of different types, and it was it was mind blowing to see that first, and then second, when I went to the school, like the coaches were just so upfront. Like this is what I need. Have you done this? Have you done this? And I was like, oh crap! Like I'm really behind. Like
And
on
what
the
were they mean? Were they meaning
like
academically or athletically?
academically, no
Okay.
academically.
Okay.
So it was all like the ACT test, your GPA, what's your ranking. They wanted all that,
Yeah.
and to me it was like, yo, I thought you wanted me for football. Like, what does that matter, right? But in reality, I that's what you need to get accepted to go into the school. So that was one step that I kind of figured out. And then high school guys, I tell all my guys and teams that like, this is what you need to focus on, because you're not getting any looks at if this you can't even get accepted to the school,
Yeah.
because that's the first thing they go. They saw my highlight film, we love it. Can you get accepted to the school now? And that's where I was just like, whoa.
So academically, you weren't there.
No. I was there. I just wasn't prepared to
Yeah.
give all the information they needed.
Yeah.
So like my GPA was I think B plus average, and my SAT was like 1100, 1200, something like that. The average, I think it's average, um, below average on the SAT, and it was enough to get into the school. But I didn't know they needed all that stuff. So I'm like telling kids right now, like I'll ask juniors right now, like, hey, have you done your ACT test? And they're like, what's that? I'm like, dang, like nobody pushes them to do these things so that they're prepared.
So it's not a, and I don't even remember, bro, because I was such a troublesome individual when
Yeah.
I was in high school. The SAT is not something that the school gives you. It's something that you
So
got to sign up
you
for
have to
and
sign
take.
up and take. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they offer it at the school,
Yeah.
but you gotta go and sign up. They're not
Okay.
gonna go and say, hey, go take a test, go take a test, go take a
And
test.
this is something you do what, at the end of your junior or senior year or
No,
what?
you want to start taking a pre-test your sophomore year.
Yeah.
You take a pre-test just to see where your numbers at, and then you take your real one your junior year,
Yeah.
beginning of junior year. Because once coaches are interested in you, that's the next step.
Yeah.
They ask you, you know, what's your GPA, what's all the stuff, can you get the admission part for our school? Because they want to make sure you are able to get into the school
So
before.
I mean, really, if you're taking your pre SAT sophomore year, I mean, you really got to be coming out of your eighth grade year already with a proactive initiative type mentality, man. Man, that's so hard for a kid. I mean, that's where we go. I'm guessing parents would be so crucial right there.
Yes, just keeping them focused. Like a kid's gonna be a kid. Like he's gonna go be with his friends. He's gonna go hang out, go do the things that they do, you know. But know a deadline. Like, hey, I need this done by this certain date. Know the deadlines, because if you know the deadlines, then whatever you do, as long as you're there at that deadline, you're gonna be in the right spot.
Yeah.
And I think that's where again the parents come a huge part of it, but they don't know, they might not care, or they're just they're not worried about those things.
Yeah.
So when an athlete is brought, hey, here, I need all these things, they're like, what? Go to your counselor. And then by that time, the counselor's already full of appointments because everyone's doing things for their own
Yeah.
self. So athletes become late. And so I push my athletes to let them know, like, hey, these are things that need to be done. I'm like, if you look at our group chats with my athletes, like, I'm posting all the deadlines that need to be done. And they, if they look at it, cool. If they don't look at it, that's I'm pushing them in the direction they need to. They need to at least take the initiative to read it and know the deadlines. And that's how you'll know the difference between who wants it and then who's just kind of there for fun, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I know that's specifically meant for football, but I know all the other sports are the same way because I mean I do train other athletes that are in other sports, and I know a couple of D1 soccer girls that play at U of H and A&M, and they have the same process, you know, and it's just it varies. I know a D1 volleyball player I train, and same process. They ask for all this paperwork, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like once you do that, then now you're taking that next step to say, hey, now I'm ready to be recruited. Now let me go send out my film. Let me go reach out to as many coaches I can to see who would be interested in wanting, you know.
Yeah.
And that's another point that a lot of people are not ready to take. You know, I don't know if you know Josh Allen, right, the quarterback for the Bills.
Yeah.
He sent 1,000 emails and one responded. A
This
thousand emails.
this was
This
what
was in college
to get in college.
to get in college. He sent 1,000 emails, and Wyoming University was the only one that reached out to him. And he had a successful year there, and now he's in the NFL.
Man, that's crazy.
And he's 6'5". He's 6'5".
Yeah, and that just goes to show how easy it is to slip through the
Yes,
cracks.
for real. Like it's I always say this, we are always gonna have to work triple time
Yeah.
because we're not gonna be size there. And I always tell this, we genetically develop like 20, 21, 22. We start getting our actual size.
Yeah.
You know, we're not gonna come out of high school like that unless you really take the weight training seriously, which a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be ready to go play college ball at a high level, and I'm speaking D1, D2, and want to start.
Yeah.
You know, that's another point. A lot of high school guys want to go into a school and start. Like, no, you are the best athlete in your school, just like every other kid that says. So
Yeah.
now it's the best of the best, you know, and you got to compete. And if you're not ready, it'll show, completely show.
Yeah.
That's just a simple step there. Like as far as the education side, the three things that you would basically need is that test done, your GPA and your rankings need to be known, and you go get it to your counselor, and those are informations you want to have
Yeah.
because if a college coach asks you and you have it, that lets them know that you're ready to like get recruited properly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, if you're naturally gifted, like a lot of these Florida boys, up north boys, where they're gifted, like these coaches want them that bad that they're willing to lead them in the way that they want them to
Right.
get them. We're not that lucky, so we have to do everything on our own,
Yeah.
and that's where again the road split. Where like if you don't want to do it, you're not gonna go. You're gonna be a
Yeah.
hometown
But
hero. If you do it, you have your chances increase as you start doing
yeah,
the right
I
things.
mean that makes sense. You're looking for a well-rounded athlete, preparedness, academics, character, like you
Yeah.
said, all the cuss
Mhm.
words in that thing. I
Mhm.
mean, it's crazy. You don't think of it as a kid, like you said, but as an adult,
But
that's really heavy.
yes, like it was shocking to me that my coach brought me all my 50 back. He said, "Coach is not gonna want to see this."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What? Do I suck or what?" Like
Yeah.
they're like, "No, the music," and I'm like, "Dang!" So I had to change it all over again. But college coaches really see that. You know,
Yeah,
they
as an adult, you associate that with attitude. This
yes,
athlete may be hard to work with. He loves
yes,
lifting all
yes,
this cuss word
yes,
music, and
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it goes back to now. I mean, Twitter. Twitter is a huge recruiting tool now for sports. Like it's a website. I mean, it's an app, but it's a recruiting tool for coaches. And coaches actually go and look through your story to see if you are like reposting, retweeting like bad stuff. Because if you do, then they don't want those
that
people
makes
attached
sense.
to
I
you.
always say, why do employers even have resumes anymore? Look at
Yeah,
someone's Facebook. Just
yeah,
ask them for their
yeah.
name. Ask them for their
Yes,
social
yes,
handles.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And you'll see everything like they post. You know what they say, how they act, how they communicate in comments.
yeah,
Like you can see a lot in
yeah,
a profile. And so Twitter is one of the big things that a lot of athletes don't have or take serious. They tweet all these bad stuff, and they tweet all these, videos, or girls twerking, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it gives you that's the image people see, that they don't know you.
Yeah.
They see that.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to change that? I just had a Zoom meeting with one of my quarterback in high school. He just got the job at LA Rams, so he's a coach there with the LA Rams now. But he was at Ole Miss, and he had a conversation with my kids like, "Hey, we look at Twitter."
You're talking about the guy that was a quarterback at your high school in Edinburgh?
No, no, in Los Angeles. I'm from originally from Los Angeles, but my quarterback
Oh,
in high
okay.
school, my quarterback,
Yeah.
he is now with the LA Rams.
Wow.
Jeremy Springer. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, he's now with the LA Rams, and we just had a Zoom meeting with him. He had just got the job at Ole Miss, and he was letting these guys know, like, our coaches look through Twitter. Like, we are in Twitter a lot,
Yeah.
and that's how we get a lot of our. Not, I'm not gonna say that's how we get a lot of our athletes, but they get a lot of athletes to communicate with them through that app,
Yeah.
and that's an app anybody can get. You know what I mean? It's not like a specific. You pay and you'll get in this platform. Like,
Mm.
no, like it's a free app if you have your profile set correctly, like with the your grade level, your credentials as far as like your assessment test, your 40 time, and all that stuff. You have that in your bio. Coaches are now able to see your name and then what you have to offer, and then you have your huddle link,
Mm.
which is basically your film, and they can click on it and see it without
Yeah.
you even knowing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like something so simple like that, but yet they don't do it.
Mm.
And it's like I can only push you to do it. I can't go and put your password in and do it on my phone to fix it. Like you got to do your end to want it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it shows. Like if I look at half of my team right now, or I look at my whole team, maybe 1/3 of them actually do it. And that's me directing them. Imagine the kids that are not directed.
And do you tell the parents too?
Yeah, we'll let the parents know. But again,
Yeah.
some parents, and I know in the valley, some parents are, if he wants it, he's got to do it.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
It's just how we're raised.
Yeah.
My mom has always told me, you want something, you got to go get it, right? I'm not going to help you. There is parents that do help, and there's a higher percentage that those kids go to the next level. Right?
Yeah.
But for the kids and the parents that do not, or that have that mindset or don't support the next steps, that's the you find out if that kid really wants to go.
Yeah.
Because the kids that really want to go play, you'll go look at the profile and they'll do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had a freshman after that video. He goes, "Hey, I downloaded Twitter and I did it. I didn't have to tell him. He heard it from a college coach.
Yeah.
What do you do? He got it done.
Yeah.
Those are kids that I see, and people might call it favoritism, but those are the kids that show me that they want it. So I'm gonna do the best I can to make sure that kid does the next steps. Because I'm gonna put the information out. The kids that reach out to me back and say, "Hey, coach, I can't do this," I know they're trying. The kids that do not reach out to me and just want to come out here and just go look at the school for fun and just kind of be in the show their social media that what they're doing, it you they definitely show themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't. I mean, I don't even know the what do they call that word? What's the clout? They're
Yeah.
there for the clout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to show the kid. They want to show that they're at a campus.
Or the
They
hype.
want to show that they're at the visits. They want to show they're playing high level, but they're not doing the backbone work to actually get recruited. And
Yeah.
that's where we separate. Where we know the kids that are doing it, we're gonna say help more, but we're gonna hey, you asking questions? I'm gonna give you the answers that you need.
Yeah.
If you don't ask no questions, I don't know that you're either. I'm thinking you're doing it already, or you're not getting it done at all.
Yeah.
And it can go to parents. Parents can ask any coaches, or go to their counselors and say, "Hey, what does my kid need?" But they won't. It's like, "Hey, my kid needs to do it," or "I'm not supporting that much." Because they're gonna love their kid regardless, right?
Yeah.
But their support might be in other things, financially support, or do they want them to go to college?
Yeah.
Do they want them to go work right after school? You know what I mean? So it kind of just depends where they're at, parents' mindset. But overall, man, just the simple things is, those things for the SAT. It's a beginning step.
Yeah.
I think there's like rules right now about it, but they don't have. I think it's gonna be they're not gonna it's not gonna be required
Yeah.
um, for this coming year, I think. But I think they'll bring it back. I'm not too sure. I know there's a rule change on that, but yeah, man. I mean, that's just the basic backbone work that a student athlete needs,
And I mean,
especially.
there's some good news there. Where we at on time, John?
Oh, you passed the
Really? By how
hour.
much?
7 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we'll start wrapping it up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so we'll bring this to a head. But man, I just want to say, it sounds like there's some good news there for the parents out there.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of the concept of Pareto distribution,
No.
bro? So suppose this is like a law, bro.
Okay.
But it basically states that in any human activity, whether it be sports or at a job or in any particular area of human activity, 80% of the production in that area comes from 20% of the people,
Okay.
and something like 50% of that 80 comes from like because it's 20, so like comes from like five people, right? So like just to give you an example, let's say a basketball team and the points are like Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
right? You have five players or whatever at any given time, but like 30 points are coming from Michael or
Yeah. Yeah.
something,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
LeBron or whatever.
Yes.
So you got your Wayne Gretzky's, you have like top NBA athletes or whatever, but then you have like the top three, the
Yes.
Kobe's, the Michaels, and then or like a hockey. I heard him when I was hearing the person that was talking about that, he talked about Wayne Gretzky, and he was talking about like how many goals Wayne Gretzky has, who was like number one all time or
Yeah.
whatever. And then the person that was like in second place behind Wayne Gretzky was like way
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
Wayne
Yeah.
Gretzky.
Nowhere near.
But then that second place guy is like way ahead of everybody else. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that's Pareto distribution. But reason I'm bringing that up as it pertains to our conversation is because for parents out there and everyone else listening, you're obviously making a great case on how so many of our kids are just slipping through the cracks, and it's
Right.
because they're not doing some really fundamental type of things,
Yes.
right?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
they're not being proactive when it comes to the GPA, the SATs, considering how the coaches are going to view them as it pertains to on all around athletes, right? So not just the athletics, but the character, the personality, and also do they want it, right?
Right.
Are they sending in their videos? Are they emailing me? Like
Yeah.
you said on some of these individuals. And so everyone out there, that's what I'm saying. It seems really hopeful, is because if you can do that for your kid or your athlete or whatever, you're really putting them in a position to succeed where they're
Yes.
they're falling within, let's say, that 20%.
Yeah.
They automatically set themselves apart, and they might not be the quickest or the most athletically gifted or what have you, but you do those right there, those components right there, and you're automatically putting them in a
Yeah.
statistical probable advantageous position,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So before I wrap it up real quick, what is it that you would maybe like to say, like for what you do, or where can people find you, or if people want to contact
Yeah.
you for
Yeah.
their kid or whatever?
So all social media, I guess my name is Foot Doctor Mata. That's what I'm known as down here. Foot Doctor Sports is an organization all over the U.S. We train top athletes all around the world, really. And I'm based out here in the Valley, and so
So you're part of a great organization.
yes, 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 yes. This is not just my name or a nickname I brought up. This is an organization name, and we're all over the U.S. Right? And I'm in the Valley. I'm based out of Edinburgh now, and you guys can follow me on any social media, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, Foot Doctor Mata, um, and we train in Edinburgh. I do all my training there at my turf field. I also run a Spark League, which is also a youth league for 7-on-7, flag football, soccer. We have all these different sports there at the field. And then I also have my club team, which is Team ZAP, which is where 7-on-7 football, we travel and go compete and go visit schools.
Yeah.
So those are the three things, that you can reach out to me for. All three things have social media pages, and you can reach out through there. Emails. I know I have a bunch of flyers up that you guys can just look up my number, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm easy to find, man. It's not hard.
That's awesome, man. So for anybody listening, if you'd like to contact Foot Doctor Mata, to help him, put your kid or position your kid in hopefully a better chance for success to get to the next level. Man, I really liked what you, and for those listening, those certain components to look out for. Make sure that your child or your athlete is don't neglect recovery.
Yeah.
um be proactive, though. Those are the things that I gleaned from our conversation.
Yeah.
Don't neglect recovery. Be proactive as it pertains, especially once you're transitioning out of the junior high level going into the high school level. Be a little bit uh proactive and make provisions and plans for the future as it pertains to the academics, the GPA, the SATs. And if in a general sense, if you just want your kid to be better, then put them in as many all-around sports as possible, but again, without neglecting the recovery and their joints. And then, if you want to just go a little bit above that, either with a personal trainer, coach, or at home, work on the supporting elements or components of that particular sport, right?
Correct.
On their own thing.
Perfect. Yes. No, yeah, that's just something basic. Simple ways. Youth sports. Put them in all the sports that they can want to try out. Um, just that's just the development side, the easy part. And then um, once you get to that eighth grade, and if we're thinking football, but all sports, already plan what your child does he want to play sports at the next level.
Yeah.
Because if he does, or he has that in his mind, the plan starts at eighth grade. And I'm not saying like, oh, everything's going to be done in eighth grade. That's just the starting point.
Yeah.
Once you get that starting point set, you're going to start knowing deadlines, and then you'll start working your way up to when you're a junior, which is your true year for sports.
Yeah.
Where college are really looking at you. That's where they'll start to find you, and if you put yourself out there the right way, you're going to get found.
Right.
And then of course your recovery. Always taking care of your body. The simple ways is ice bath and foam rollers. Easy way.
Yeah.
Doing that every day helps you recover your body. Okay. And then what is the point? That's pretty much it.
No, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that was good. So thank you again, George, for joining us today, Coach Mata. And with that said, God bless, and see you guys later.